Are you sitting there wondering, how do we give you a fair cash offer? Maybe you're like, just give me the offer. Hurry up. Give me my number. Well, I can understand why you would say that or how you'd feel. But honestly, would you really trust me if you just called me and just said, hey, give me an offer on my property without fully understanding everything that goes into it? So what I'd like to do is take a few minutes and actually explain the process that we go through to come up with your fair cash offer, okay? So first of all, we're gonna ask some questions about your property. We wanna know, what's the condition of the property? What repairs have you recently made? What updates have you made? What repairs need done? What are we gonna be taking on that you don't wanna do? Totally awesome, we're happy to do that, but we need to understand the condition. Next, we need to understand your situation. When do you wanna sell? Maybe it's, are you moving out of state? Maybe it's an estate sale. Maybe you're losing the property to taxes, foreclosure. There's various reasons that people call us to sell their home, and we need to understand why so we can help them achieve their goals. Next, what's your time frame? Some sellers are in a hurry. Some don't care how long it takes. They just want it done. Some need to sell next week. So we want to consider what your situation looks like for selling. Also, is it going to be vacant? What's the vacant? Or is there going to be a tenant that we're taking on? Or do you need to lease it back from us? So we need to understand what that looks like. We also need to understand what you owe on the property. There's been situations early on in my career where I got to the closing table, I didn't ask what they owe. They owed more than what our offer was, and it was very disappointing for all of us. We were all lined up, ready to go. They owed more, they were gonna have to come to closing. So if we just could have been transparent from day one, we would have known exactly what they owed on the property and wouldn't have been in that situation. Next, we're going to do an analysis. Like, what are the home values of the homes in that area selling for that are all fixed up? So when we make those repairs, what would your house be worth at that time? We're also going to look at the days on market. How long does it take to sell? Are we in a market that properties are selling in 30 days, 6 months? What does that look like? So we got to consider how long the days on market for properties in your neighborhood. The other thing is the location. Are you on a busy street? Are you next to a gas station? Or are you in a quiet neighborhood? We got to consider all those factors that go into it. We also consider the repair estimates. What's it going to cost to make that home top of the value for your neighborhood? And are there any outstanding liens, judgments, fines, or fees? These are all things that can make a huge impact at the closing table. So the more we know up front, the better and more easy the transaction is for you. The next thing we're going to do is come out and walk the property, take photos of the home so we understand the condition and make sure it looks the same as what you told us. And then from there, if we really need to, we might even send our contractors back out to make sure we really sharpen our pencil and actually get like real estimates and bids to make sure we're putting our best foot forward for you. The last thing we're going to do, and a couple things to consider as we put that together, we're going to look at the equity, the market value, and the repairs. And then what's our strategy going to be? Are we going to be buying this home to resell it? Or is it a property that we're going to hold? Maybe we're going to keep it as a rental property. So it really just depends. We have multiple strategies that we use with the properties that we buy, but there's a cost of our capital to do that, right? So there's, our cash costs us money. So are we going to hold the property for 6 months or 2 months? What does that look like? How quickly do you need to close? Do we need to, we only have, we have so much money to spend each month. So what's that going to cost us? All right. So the next thing to take into consideration there's some intangibles that you don't actually realize. Like, what if you actually need to lease back the property so your kids can stay in school? What about a longer closing date? Those are things that we have to factor in, right? Maybe you need a quick closing. Maybe it's next week. So we got to factor that into like actually making this all work for you. And then what about buying with tenants? Maybe you're going to give us a non-paying tenant. So we're going to factor that into our offer. And then there's scenarios that maybe we've had sellers actually sell that had cars that they needed to sell. They had 4 or 5 cars. We help them sell it. Maybe you need a moving truck. Maybe you need a deposit. You never know what you're going to need. And that's where you don't know what's like. As we go through the process, we're going to help you walk through that and help get you to the finish line. So as you can see, hopefully now you can trust me, because I'm not just going to give you an offer out of the gates without knowing the full situation. So if you're ready for your fair cash offer, give us a call now.